me, not so shocking or surprising variety. Indiana and Cal quarterback Fernando Mendoza, bound for the Raiders, Las Vegas Raiders, is not attending the 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. I repeat, according to Adam Schefter an hour ago, Fernando Mendoza is not attending the 2026 NFL Draft in Pittsburgh. Now, this is not uncommon. And I'm not surprised. I remember I had an idea last night, actually the night before that. Hey, I don't think Fernando is going to attend this draft. It was just an inkling, just a feeling. And it was based on the fact that he's got a huge contingency of people, or not contingency, huge group of people, friends, both in Indiana and Cal, family, mostly in Miami, new family, if you will, in Indiana. This guy is spread all over. He could have his own draft event. I thought that he would try to do it in Indiana. And it wouldn't surprise me if I learned that that was their original objective, but they couldn't work out things for space reasons. So here they are in Miami. And again, I'm not surprised. It's disappointing for Pittsburgh. It's disappointing for the league. And it also says that in an era of NIL, name, image, and likeness, that the NFL does not want to pay draftees to attend the NFL draft, top draft picks. And the NFL, that's a huge mistake. The NFL should do that. It would guarantee that these new stars be in Pittsburgh. It would guarantee that Pittsburgh enjoys the spotlight that comes with these young men. And it would guarantee that the crowd has the benefit of feeling like they met the young man in person, which is why they go. They want to see, not just root for their teams, but be a part of the experience of the NFL draft, which includes seeing the guy or guys that comprise the next stars of the NFL. Now, guess what? That's not happening. That's not happening for the Pittsburgh goers. And as I recall, the last time that happened, the question is, does it really affect NFL draft attendance? And I argue that it doesn't to a great extent, but I believe it does to a small degree because, for example, you have media that are not going to be at the NFL draft. They're going to be headed down to Miami to cover Fernando because it's quite likely that Fernando will also bring some of his Indiana friends to his party, some of his friends that may be top draft picks in this year's draft to Miami rather than to Indiana. So that puts the spotlight on wherever he decides to have the party in Miami. Believe me, I'm certain that there's hotels saying, hey, pick us, probably trying to get their phone numbers now, call the people at XL Sports Management in New York and say, you know what? We want to be there, cover the draft. Hey, I know certainly Zenny 62 Media wants to be there. We want to have a person there covering the draft and covering Fernando as he steps into the spotlight as a Las Vegas Raiders quarterback, newly minted, right? That's what you would want to see uh, at the draft. So I want to be a fly on the wall and find out what really went down that caused that, because I would bet that just like Cal, I would bet that Fernando's people said, hey, you know what? We'd like some money. If you're going to have me attend the draft and I'm the guy, I want to be compensated for it. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt, the NFL said that's not the way we do things. And I know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the NFL decided it wasn't changing, although it does need to. Hey, it changed in the case of YouTube. It had no problem bringing YouTubers that have fake followers and fake subscribers to cover events, right? rejecting my credential, saying, well, you don't have enough reach, not defining what that number is. Serious, this is the first time they've ever done this in 20 years to me. All right. And it's damaging. Okay. And I will have my day because it's wrong for the NFL to favor YouTubers who have fake subscriber counts for to cover key events like the NFL draft or the NFL owners meeting or Super Bowl week of game. All right. Absolutely ridiculous. Completely 100% ridiculous. And also not right. And the old days of YouTube, that would have been grounds for you to lose your channel. So my point is, I'm delighted to go to Fernando's event or have someone go on behalf of Zenny 62 Media because they're not going to treat us like that. But the NFL does. And then the NFL wonders why, in terms of spirituality, things like this happen. It shouldn't. The NFL has got to get into the game of compensating modern athlete. These athletes are rich now. Fernando Mendoza is already a millionaire. He's not in a position like Josh Jacobs was when he was in college. My goodness, sleeping in his car as an Alabama, I believe, Crimson Tide, or maybe this was in high school. I think this was in high school, in fairness to Josh Jacobs. But I believe he even extended to college. My point is that under NIL now, there should not be a top NFL draft pick player that doesn't have enough money to afford a roof over their head. Nobody, okay? Nobody. Again, they're rich. I was just about to put together a list of the top picks and what their NIL numbers were, right? See where Fernando fits and rank them by order of wealth. This is a new thing, a brand new thing. And over the course of the 20 years that I've covered the NFL draft, what I've noticed is one could call it sort of an emancipation of the player. For me, it started in 2010 when I noticed that a number of NFL draft black players were engineering majors. I mean, whippers smart. If there wasn't engineering, it was med school. All right. They had enough smarts to do anything they wanted in life. They didn't have to play football. That's new. And you could tell that there were a number of NFL coaches who didn't know what to do with these really smart guys because they were so used to them, basically deferring to them in terms of thought or giving them their mantle and everything else, which you do as a basic form of respect, but you don't need to go overboard about it. Some would go overboard about it, and then you have situations where certain agents were using their power over the player and thinking that they could treat them any kind of way they wanted to. You can't. Look at Geno Smith. Geno Smith fired his agents just before the start of the NFL draft in New York. I was there. He fired them. His agents went on a negative reputation management sprinkling spree, trying to sully his reputation, and that's exactly what happened. He dropped to the second round, and I was there to see it. It's right here at Zenny 62 Media's YouTube channel, Zenny 62 YouTube. It's right here. You can go back to 2014. You can see my interview with Geno Smith on the second day of the draft. He doesn't talk directly about what happened on camera, but everybody in the room knows what happened, okay? And it was not something that Jason Cole should have done, in my view, who wrote for Bleacher Report at the time and was a friend for a time. Jason's got a different way about him. I'll leave it at that. But he was the person that was tabbed by Gino's ex-agents to basically spread this news about him that, essentially he was hard to get along with and egotistical and words to that effect. Just negative stuff, right? Because they did it only because he fired them. He fired them because it was clear that Gino wasn't going to be the #1 pick. Agents do that, all right? Agents do that. So, anyway, Gino was at the draft. He planned to be there, had a huge party. Another person who was at the draft believed he was going to be a top pick, even though evaluations said the opposite, and didn't go until I believe the third round, was Malik Willis. All right, Malik Willis dropped. He had a party plan. He left the draft, went to his restaurant, cried, and now look at him. Poised to be the next great NFL player that we all thought he could be. Was it a mistake to have him drop that much? Well, left for debate. Left for debate. But I think that if you take a look at him, he's a lot like Russell Wilson. There may be a Super Bowl in his future. Just may be. But back to Fernando missing the draft. That's, again, a big deal, and it says a lot for... you can't view it any other way than to look at it as the lowered value of being at the NFL draft in the modern age where you can be anywhere and have an event. Okay, you don't have to be there. All right, it's fun to be there. Don't misunderstand me. It's a blank load of fun. But the NFL has to understand that today's college athlete that is eligible to go to the NFL draft, that's good enough to be considered a top pick, that's so good that that person may be #1, has to be paid to attend the draft. Otherwise, they're not going to attend. They're used to getting money. Why? For their name, image, and likeness. And that's essentially what the NFL is asking them to present for free at the draft. Hey, we will present you. We want your name, image, and likeness out there, #1. We will give you a big stage. They say, nah, we want to be paid for that because we're the star. 6 of 1, the NFL says we have the biggest platform. Half of the other, the player says, you may have the biggest platform, but I'm used to getting paid for my time to be present before an audience. Boom. Okay? Who's right? Well, guess what? Since it's all around the player is right. So what do? You pay the player. That's what you do. And clearly the NFL didn't do that. The NFL didn't do that. The NFL's traded its giant platform to get a lot of things for free or reduced cost. And in a lot of ways. Or they'll trade Super Bowl tickets. Hey, we've got a bunch of tickets here for you if you do this contracting assignment. If you build the stage or something. There's been a lot of deals like that made. I remember Alo Casal used to tell me about how they would use 2 Super Bowl tickets to get work from contractors, all right? But in today's environment, that's not enough, especially as expensive as it is. You got to have the money to pay. You have to have the money to pay, okay? So, Mendoza doesn't attend. And I think that it you would say, does it set a trend? Not really. Again, it doesn't, because as I pointed out in the text, does it set a trend? Not really. Again, it doesn't, because as I pointed out in the text, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, excuse me, and Drake May all attended the 2024 NFL Draft in Detroit, which I believe is the most successful NFL draft I've ever attended, period. For the number of players that were drafted that were top notch, for the 775,000 people that attended, for the Boffo way that Detroit showed its plume of beautiful feathers, that it was back. And that's exactly how it was. It was cold, yes, but not so cold that a good time was not had by all, because a good time was had by all. In fact, even given as cold as it was, and I should have made a video of this, I was walking down the street with my friend, and these three women were coming in our direction. One of them, okay, look, it was 36 degrees outside. She's wearing a bare midriff. Cute? Yes. Bare midriff. And I asked her, because that's me. I said, hey, you look great, but isn't it cold? She says, that's the way we roll, words to that effect. Wow. Roll on, you bears. That was hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. And I should have just put on my media hat and interviewed them, because it was appropriate to do so. That was cold weather. Here I am, shiver me tivers, like, and she's like, hey, got nothing on in the middle. And abs. God, I missed that opportunity. Hey, can I roll back the clock for like 20 minutes? Transport me to be exactly where we were in my body, right? And just change my reaction. Say, hey, Kofi, hold on a second. I want to get an interview with these three about the weather and how they're dressed. That would have been so cool. So awesome. Because they were, pun intended, chill. You know? And I did ask them anyway. But anyway, yeah. So I think that Fernando Mendoza not attending the 2026 NFL draft is a big blow to Pittsburgh, because he's not there, and he also he's the only star this year. Okay, that's why they needed to pay him. There isn't any other star, any other player headed to the NFL draft that has his name and draw appearance potential. Nobody. He's the only guy. That's it. Nobody else. So, and they all want to see him. This is also going to be a test of how big NFL fandom is, to where, it calls into question, can Pittsburgh now be expected to be able to break Detroit's record? My answer is no. They don't, especially with this, they're not even going to see second. Well, maybe they will. We'll see, okay? I have my doubts. This is a major blow. That Fernando will not be attending the NFL draft. It's a major blow to the producers, to the sponsors. Okay. But Pittsburgh loves the NFL. Pittsburgh will come out for the NFL, no question about it. And overall, I believe they'll pull off a very successful NFL draft. At least I hope so. It just won't include Fernando Mendoza. All right. And just like Shedeur Sanders, remember Shedeur Sanders, big spotlight, big name. He didn't have his draft party at all, and he didn't have it in Green Bay. So um, wasn't in Green Bay. So all eyes were on Colorado, and Shedeur would have been a massive hit if he were in Green Bay, but they didn't do it that way. They didn't pay him. We are in the NIL era. You have to want players, and if you want them at the NFL draft, you have to pay them because they're used to that. That's part of the deal. That's part of their name, image, and likeness, and you want to use it without compensation. So you think a kid and his parents are going to allow that? Heck no. That is not happening. That's not happening. Okay? That is not happening at all. Nope, nowhere. No way. No way. The NFL has got enough money to pay these young men to attend the draft, to house them appropriately, and their families. Just say, you know what, bring 30 family members. That's enough to accommodate everybody but Vince Young. Why do I say that? Because Vince Young brought a contingent of over 100 people to the NFL draft 2007 in Detroit. I mean, Detroit, I say Detroit, New York, because it was always in New York then, all right? I have the video to prove it. Go check it out, all right? And did I say, I said 2007, that was wrong, it's 2010, because that was the year that both Vince Young and Matt Leinart, was 2010, 2000 NFL draft, yeah, 2010 NFL draft, 2009. Those were the years that both Matt Leinart and Vince Young came out. Vince Young was clearly the favorite in the NFL draft. Matt Leinart dropped to 10th pick. He was upset. He thought for some particular reason he was going to be number one over Vince Young. Not happening. That was crazy though. All those people there for Vince Young. That was just absolutely nuts. And people coming down to the Grand Lounge. Some lady saying, "Hey, can I sit with you?" I said she wanted to sit with me at my press table in the Grand Lounge. And I said, "No, I can't let you do that." You know. Yeah, but they just walked on down. It was like, "Hey, this is playtime, and we're just gonna take over Radio City Music Hall, all right?" And they did precisely that, all right? And they did precisely that. And I said that Vince Young, it wasn't the 2010 NFL draft, it was 2006, all right? 2006. That was my second NFL draft, but it was my first with the YouTube channel. Yeah. So that was 2006 NFL draft. And the year, that was also the draft that featured Reggie Bush, okay? And I think the Texans, rather than taking Mario Williams, should have taken Vince Young. Because Vince Young, yeah, that's what should have happened. Didn't. And Vince Young was selected third overall. Reggie Bush went number 2 to New Orleans. And of course, Mario Williams went number 1 to the Texans. That's what happened. Yeah, that's what happened. Well, Reggie Bush was a pill, though. Tried to get an interview with him during NFL draft play 60 is rude to me, you know. Um, and I think he did that something like that. He did. He did something like that to me in Atlanta when I was there. I was trying to get an interview with him, and he said something smart mouth, as I call it. No reason for that, you know. No support for black media whatsoever. Here, a clearly brother with a media badge, right, running his own company. That part I guess he doesn't know, or maybe he does and doesn't care because I don't have the NBC moniker on me or whatever. And just said something that I thought was rude. So I had no reason or desire to interview him or even try. I tried once. So I thought, okay, fine. Hey, that's you. Black folks are the hardest on black folks. Why? I don't know. Because I'm not that way. But Reggie Bush, overall, my experience with Reggie Bush has not been great at all as a black media person at all. And I'm not concerned with whether or not someone's had a similar experience, because there aren't a lot of us around. There should be, but they're not. Especially, I'm talking about those of us who own. Hey, how you doing? Who own our own media companies? I'm talking about Reggie Bush. I'm talking about how Reggie Bush was rude to me while I was covering the 2006 NFL draft, and then later in Atlanta when he was here for the NFL draft, and I was covering that. So, that's, like I said, Reggie. And maybe I should make a video about it. Hey, Reggie, man, do better by your brothers. Do better by black independent media. Do better by independent media, period. Do better by media, period. But you know what? My impression of Reggie Bush is, hey, mainstream white-owned media, he's great. Just fine with them. Me, not so much. Wow. All right. But anyway, back to the subject at hand. Fernando. What's the reaction about Fernando not attending the NFL draft? What does the news say? What did the folks around Twitter say? Well, I will hold on a second. Let you know right here and now. Let's type Fernando Mendoza. Okay. Reads here, Fernando Mendoza plans to celebrate with his family in Miami instead. That's Sports Illustrated 42 minutes ago. And that's a first round mock. And 21 minutes ago, Fernando Mendoza is today at the Raiders facilities in what is his only scheduled visit prior to the NFL draft. Mendoza will not be present on the day of the event. He will not pose with the commissioner on stage. He will stay with his family at home. Well, he will have his own party. That's what this is, where this was wrong. And the timeline just now peeping for Fernando Mendoza talked just like Tony Khan. Don't get that one. And they're talking about Fernando Mendoza in mock drafts. And the question is, who's Fernando Mendoza's girlfriend? It says Mendoza stays private. I always wondered that. I never saw him with a girl. Is he gay? I just wonder. I know. Okay. Hey, you never know. All right? You never know. So let's see here. And let's see if the people. Oh yeah, there are people who ripping on Fernando Mendoza for not attending the NFL draft, or are trying to play the race card with Shedeur Sanders last year, are the same idiots that don't realize his mother has MS and has to be in a wheelchair. Genuinely, shame on you people. TNF is right. Fernando's mom has MS. But I will say this. The late John Clayton of ESPN, my friend from ESPN's wife had MS and she could travel. I know because I was on the same plane with them from San Francisco, all right, leaving San Francisco. They come down from um, Seattle to San Francisco to get on the plane to go to Phoenix. That's where we were all headed. Phoenix for the NFL draft. The NFL, no, not the NFL draft. That was the Super Bowl. Yeah, that was the Super Bowl. So, and I also helped John and his wife get off the plane. I stayed around later. I miss John Clayton. He's a very nice man. Rest in peace. Um, Rest in peace. John Clayton was a great guy. But at any rate, yeah. My point is, I understand Fernando's mom has MS, but she could travel if she wanted to. I think Fernando said, Mom, we're going to bring the party to you, which is really nice. But also, let's face it, if the NFL had said, you know what, we'll pay you and your mother to be there, I think they would have done it. I think they would have done it. Hey, not a problem. All right? Not a problem. Okay? All right. And so I don't rip him. Again, he's not the first guy to do it. All right? And he's not the first guy, okay? Jameis Winston did it, had his party in Bessemer, Alabama. Mariota did it, had his party in Hawaii. Cha-ching, all right? So, good idea, good thing, a good thing. So, where does that leave the person who's in Pittsburgh? Well, if you just enjoy the draft experience, okay? If you're there just because you think, oh, you know, I came to see Fernando, well, no. But don't make that. Don't make that the only reason. Don't go to the draft for that. I hope you learned your lesson, right? Don't go all the way to Pittsburgh for the NFL draft to see Fernando Mendoza. You're not going to see him to begin with. But go for the experience. Go for the fun. Go for the thousands of people who love the draft and everything else, all right? Go for all that, okay? All right? Do that. But remember, Fernando Mendoza is going to be in Miami. Now, let me get off this live stream. Thank you for watching, because I've got to call Excel Sports. I'll see ya. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube and please bookmark NFL News by Zenny62.com and check out our new NFL related websites, NFL Draft RedCarpetNews.com, NFL Draft Player Rankings.com, as well as the venerable NFL News by Zenny62.com. Got NFL coming out your ears. Oh, we'll see you. Thank you. Please subscribe and please join our membership club. Thank you. Thank you.